welcome everybody to the Nature Fix, episode 2. Very excited today to have Rosie and Joyce here from Sanctuary Mountain Maungatautari's Wellbeing Program. A couple of years ago, I was really fortunate to be part of a pilot study that looked at nature's effect on our physiological and psychological health. Rosie, Joyce, would you like to do me the favour of delving into this a little bit more?
Certainly. I might start at the start. So the Wellbeing Program's been going for a few years now, and it came about by Joyce and I connecting. My background is nature guiding, so guiding in the forest, and in bodywork, so Pilates and Qigong, which is very similar to Tai Chi. And Joyce?
I'm a somatic ecotherapist, which means that I focus on the connections between body, mind, life force and the natural world. So everything connected, and we wanted to try and bring that to as many people as possible.
Wonderful.
So we started to craft the program, and as part of that we wanted to measure the validity of it, to make sure what we were doing was working for people, and we did this in a number of ways, and one of the ways was to replicate a study that the Japanese have done. The Japanese have been going out into nature as a formalised wellbeing program for many years. Something called
Forest bathing.
Yes.
Sorry to jump in.
That's right.
People might be familiar with
Yes.
forest bathing.
Shinrin Yoko. And what we did was we measured people's blood pressure, pulse and mood before they participated in the day and on completion of the day. And we were hoping to see a shift in those results.
Thanks, Rosie. So, Joyce, can you tell everybody what the study comprised of?
Well, over a period of time, we took 3 corporate groups separately for a day in the forest, and that comprised a variety of invitations to slow down and use the senses and really sink into being present in the forest. Then we measured, as Rosie said, the mood and other measurements after they came out of that to see if there was any change.
And did you have any surprising results? That's the interesting part.
Yeah, we did. Particularly around mood. There were significant changes in people's moods. Things like fatigue, stress, things associated with stress, they dropped away, and a measurement which was called vigour increased as well.
Vigour.
So yeah, that's right. So
I feel very invigorated by the forest. Is that a word? Vigour.
It's an invigorating environment.
I feel very
right.
invigorated,
you were.
energised by the forest.
Yeah, and it was a really simple thing to do. They had 30 moods, which they were asked to say, where were you feeling that mood at before and after. And I was expecting to see, I was hoping to see an improvement, but I was actually really blown away. And we did a survey, more qualitative, to capture qualitative aspects. So just to get feedback, and the feedback there was great as well. And it was just, putting life into perspective, a lot of it. You come out to the forest and you realise how awesome it is.
Yeah. I mean, all 3 of us spend a lot of time in the Ngāhere, so even we can take for granted how powerful it is to have the reset, but for people that don't spend a lot of time in the Ngāhere, I imagine, and I know firsthand because we often get the same comments from our groups that come out to the Bush Boardroom, nature puts everything in perspective, and perhaps all these problems that seemed overwhelming, once you come out here and you realise that you're just all connected and part of it, it's not really as important as what it was before, or as worrying.
No, that's exactly it.
So Joyce, in terms of methodology, I mean, I'm not, I don't have a PhD, so in layman's terms, if you may, what did you use to measure moods?
We used a profile of mood states, which is a standard way of, usually it's used, I think, with athletes, but it measures, get people to mark a list of moods from 0 to 4 as to how much they're feeling in that moment. And then these, afterwards, we can put these into several groups of type of mood and use the numbers there to get a gauge of how much people have actually increased their vigour or decreased their anxiety, that sort of thing.
Isn't it nice to have some science to back up what we already know, though?
Yeah.
It must have been nice to have that, reassuring piece of research.
Yeah, of course.
So next week is Mental Health Awareness Week here in Aotearoa, and I just think that with this study, that although it was done a couple of years ago now, it is still so important, and we'll put a link in the video to anyone who's interested in reading a little bit more as well. This was just a little bit of an overview, really. But so Rosie and Joyce, how can people use perhaps some of the findings from that study, the Japanese study, when they're thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed with daily life. It's not that there's a small percentage of us that need to be aware of mental health. Everybody has mental health. Everybody needs to be aware and have certain tools that they can use. And I think nature is a huge tool that's available to most people. But how do you think, what's your top tips for, mental health, fitness, if you may, with a nature context, since we are out here?
Well, I would suggest something called a sit spot, which means finding somewhere that you're comfortable, that's somewhere close by, it's easy to get to, and somewhere that you can go maybe once or more times a week, and just be there for anything from 5 to 20 minutes, the longer the better, and to really be aware of what's there. And it could just be a pot plant beside your doorstep. It doesn't have to be something complicated. As somebody who was one of the early proponents of it, John Young, he said it's not the quality of the spot, it's the quality of the awareness.
I love
So
that.
it's really just bringing the attention and just listening to the breeze, smelling the scents and feeling the wind on your face, just for 10 minutes can just reset you completely.
I love that. A sit spot. I have to use that myself, since I, like a lot of people, don't have a lovely forest park on my back doorstep most of the time.
We are in a very special sit spot right here.
We are in a lovely sit spot. Nice plug, thank you, Rosie.
To your sit spot as well.
And Rosie, do you have a tip or a piece of advice that you can impart your wisdom with us?
A couple of things, and the what we all know, it's just practicing them.
Yeah, that's right.
Turn your phone off.
Timely reminder.
Yes. Particularly in somewhere like this, just don't get distracted. Just be in the moment, in your sit spot, and breathe. That's the other thing. You really appreciate it in a hiri like this, because every breath you breathe, it's invigorating.
To use our lovely word.
To use our lovely word. But just notice your breath. That's always calming.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me out here. And if anyone wants more information, as I said earlier, we'll have a link on this video. And everybody have a wonderful day.